Yo, how giga fucking brain would it be? Now, I'm worried about Tyr because I think that the Discs of Norgannon told Tyr the future. I'm just going to keep it very simple. I think that events on Azeroth are written to unfold in a certain way. For the most part. Like Destiny. And I think that the Titan Norgannon's discs are not only a record of what has happened, but what is going to happen. And I think that that is honestly one of the only reasons why Tyr has been able to resurrect himself, is because he read the future as it was meant to unfold by the Titans. Now, he could be mega giga brain, and he could know that him knowing his future is paradoxical and dangerous. So, if we resurrect him and he does not have the memories from the disc of Norgannon, then it might be okay. But I'm concerned that if he gets the memories back, that's not a good thing. And that he's going to basically be just the same Tyr that he always was. And I don't like that. Does that mean the discs of Norgannon are light and void? The knowledge of both, where to go and how to get there? I think that Norgannon is canonically the master of celestial magics and lore, and has cataloged all magical types and their applications that they have ever come across. I just don't believe that the Titans, they clearly know how to manipulate light. They clearly know. And I don't necessarily believe the idea that they don't know how to manipulate void as well. And yes, like we said before, if you look at light and void similarly to timelines, and there are two NPCs in Valdrakken who actually compare the light and void to time and entropy and stuff like that, if you consider how similar they are, if one can attribute the power of time to Aman'thul, he does have a very similar looking person on the seat of the Pantheon as well, and that's Norgannon. He looks a lot like Aman'thul. And considering that for a long time I thought that they were time and space, which to a degree I think they are, that, at least in the eyes of Albert Einstein, is inherently tied together, which would suggest that they are not just brothers, but they're twins. That Aman'thul has the power of time, and potentially Norgannon has the powers of space, and combined, or, you know, whatever, who knows what you could accomplish with that. I mean, that's incredible power. We're talking about a god that has the ability to, like, write a fate, to weave dreams, which is what his title is, the Norgannon the Dreamweaver. So, I think that there's a lot of conceptual and some of which circumstantial evidence pointing to a theme that's occurring here. But what I'm suggesting is that, yeah, I think that the Titans, in a sense, think about this. If I'm going to come out here and tell you that I think that Zira trying to turn Illidan into a conduit of light because that was his destiny, and I think that the Naru were crafted by Titans, then I think it would be foolish for me to try and sit here and say, no, I don't think that the Titans, you know, that fate and destiny and that is being manipulated by those forces on their behalf. Like, absolutely not. I would be ridiculous to say that. That's implied by what I already believe. So I do think that the arcane masters, Norgannon and Aman'thul, whether it makes them bad guys or not, I don't think that this attribution makes them good or bad. It's the implication of their decisions and what they've done throughout time that really define that. But, like, it's just important to be able to recognize the true scope of an entity's power and what they dabble in, because forces like light and void seem extraneous and interdimensional, like everywhere type of thing, but the way that they talk about the magical representations of them spreading sure doesn't sound like it. It sounds like something that was cast into the cosmos and that has been shifting and changing as a result ever since. So I don't know. Oh, I would also like to point out that if you look at the Broker's cosmology map, that they have life and death as like the two top and bottom forces. And that may indicate that they see them as like the greatest part of the cycle. I think that's interesting because the Titan depiction from Chronicle has light and void, which almost suggests, or light, it actually says light and shadow, which is interesting now that I think about it. I wonder why they're specifying that, because they know. I wonder if all these motherfuckers. I wonder if that actually could be a hint that the Titans know about what true light and shadow are. And they put holy light and void on there as the magical representations of them to fool people into believing that those were the true representations of those cosmic forces. Because what I honestly think is that the light and the void, I want to see them as like an entropic, all-consuming force that is just natural in the universe, that is like an underlying, it's like the manifestation of the underlying force that's there no matter what, but I'm not so sure. I think that the light and void, unfortunately, could very well be existing as a result of experiments by the Titans. That is to say, like, you know, Sargeras potentially crafted fel magic on Argus with shadow and flame and experimentation, similar to what Deathwing did with Shadow Flame. Who's to say that the Titans themselves didn't try to make their own kind of magics? I mean, that is not a stretch of the imagination to me. I mean, if Sargeras takes flame and shadow, Deathwing takes flame and shadow or whatever, Titans take fucking light and they make a light and void, or that, you know, they make something like they take arcane and fucking, you know, I have no idea. Maybe instead of think about this. Oh, we talked about this in Discord. Check this out. The process of and state of fel magic is inherently chaotic, and think about it this way. Fel magic is all magics, like together, in a sense that it is like chaos magic, right? Shadow and flame somehow make this fucking magic that like encompasses everything. And so all together, it's chaotic, it's intermingling, right? The Titans, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't make a nice soupy blend. That's not orderly, right? What do the Titans do? They take a singular thing and they make it into multiple. Is that not what they do? They order things out. They split it up. They classify. They're very much like humans in that regard. They like to label and identify and separate. It's what they do. What if light and void are the result of dividing the arcane into two different forces, thereby making two, not one, two new magics with which they could manipulate mortals in the cosmos, and writing it into their chronicle that that's how the universe is born? Because what better way to not make people question the validity and source of something like light and void, but other than saying it created the universe? Because who's gonna question that? Who's gonna look at that and go, yeah, right, guess what? This guy, I'll do it. I don't give a shit. Like a magical prism, they split it into different things. Order is control, division, recording, classification, planning. These are all things associated with order. All of them. Uniformity, consistency, repeatability, replicability, if you will. It's funny that the single most orderly civilization in the history of WoW, that being the Eridar, now Draenei, are like the most orderly motherfuckers. And guess who's most aligned with and knowledgeable about light and void? Naru. Say it with me now, the Draenei. That's not an accident. They are directly associated with the light and void on purpose. They're probably one of the only races that's intelligent and old enough to wield it without going absolutely fucking insane. And to be honest, I think that the Draenei exist as a product of Titan meddling. I think the Eridar only became as perfect as they are because of Titans. Now, others will disagree, and that's totally fine. I don't blame them. I'm also okay with the Eridar just being a super old, powerful civilization that actually just found greatness through, you know, their you know, just evolution. I'm cool with that. That's cool. But yes, they were masters of the arcane. Yeah. Archimonde is one of the most powerful arcane and shadow wielding magic wielders ever. Yeah, that guy and Kill Jaden. But all three of them. But Velen chose a different path. Velen went with the light. They knew about Fel too and outlawed it. Yep, with Thalkiel. They did not like that shit. Honestly, when the Draenei have to realize that the Naru and light are dangerous, that's gonna be rough. I hate to say this, but I think Velen is I mean, I want Velen to have to come to grips with that, and I think he's been on the path of that. I think Illidan and what happened with Zira, and Velen having to admit that Zira withheld information from Turalyon during the exploration of Mak'gari, or they changed it now to Eridun, or Eridath is what it's called. You know, I think Velen has had to kind of face some of those truths. It's just about whether or not the Eridar, you know, or the Draenei at this point have it within them naturally to not do it, you know? I hate to say this, but like, if the dragons can be, you know, essentially tempered to behave a certain way by dipping their eggs before they're even born into a certain type of liquid that will change them, I hate to say this, but there's nothing that says that can't happen to the Eridar.